Hey guys, it's Madison, and since my 1-year anniversary of being home from Korea is coming up, I've been thinking about my time in Korea a lot recently, and today I just wanted to talk about 5 things that I kind of regret about the time that I spent living in Korea. So the first regret that I have is that I didn't make a big effort to make friends in Korea. That doesn't mean I didn't have any friends in Korea. I had a couple of friends who are from Daegu, which is the city that I lived in. And then I also had a friend who is American like me, who was also teaching English in the same neighborhood as me for about half the time that I was living there. So I did have a couple of friends who were there. I just didn't make any effort to make any new friends. And part of this, well, most of this is because I'm an introvert. So I'm not really the kind of person who naturally wants to go out and meet new people and talk to strangers and stuff. But I really regret not making more of an effort to go out, meet some new people, and make some new friends while I was living in this new city. Obviously, I was still grateful for the friends that I did already have, especially a couple of friends that I got to know a lot better during my time in Daegu, mostly because when I knew them in the States, we spoke mostly in English and our communication was kind of limited because of that. But when I went to Korea, something about being in Korea made me feel more free to speak Korean to those friends, and since they were in Korea, they felt more like they could just speak Korean to me and not try to speak English. And our communication became so much better when we started speaking in Korean. So I am grateful for those experiences with my existing friends, but I do really wish that I made more of an effort to go out and meet some new people. The second regret that I have is that I didn't make much of an effort to seek out opportunities to speak Korean. AKA, I wish I had spoken more Korean during my year there. Before I moved to Korea, I kind of assumed that living in Korea, I would be forced to speak a lot more Korean. And that is true to a certain extent. Like I just mentioned, a lot of my pre-existing friends, I spoke to them a lot more in Korean. And whenever I went to any store, obviously I was expected to speak in Korean as well. But what I didn't really think about is that being an English teacher, you're pretty much speaking English all day, every day at your job. So with the exception of the time that I was like going out to buy food or meeting up with my friends, which I didn't do that often because we were all working and we kind of had different work schedules, I was pretty much speaking mostly English most days just because of the nature of my job. While this is obviously fine, and I still definitely did speak more Korean in Korea than I did most days in America, I don't know, I guess I didn't really seek out extra opportunities to speak in Korean. It kind of also goes along with not really making new friends there. Because I was only meeting my friends occasionally and not really going out very often because I am an introvert, I was really limiting my opportunities to speak Korean. So anyway, I really wish I made more of the opportunity of living in Korea to actually seek out opportunities to speak in Korean. The third thing that I regret is I really wish I had traveled more in Korea. Like I said, I was living in Daegu, which is a city kind of in the southeast-ish part of Korea. And I did travel with my friends a few times throughout the year. I think I went to Busan twice. I went to Seoul maybe 3 or 4 times. And then beyond that, I think I went to Daejeon one time to see my friend. I went to like a couple of like random places. Like I went skiing with my friends twice, but I don't remember where that was. Also, I went with some of my friends and my friend's family on a couple different occasions, like hiking and stuff. And I just got in the car with them and like went there. I don't really remember where exactly it was. It wasn't really a city. It was more out in nature. So I did go out a couple of times, but considering I was there for a whole year and considering how small the country of Korea was, I really wish I had taken more opportunities to, you know, take a weekend or take a day even on the weekend and go explore a city, whether with a friend or even alone. Although I'm not really the kind of person who enjoys traveling alone. If I'm gonna go through all the effort of leaving my comfort of my home to go and travel somewhere and go outside and do things, I definitely want to be there with somebody who I can talk to about the experiences that we're having. For example, Jeju-do. Jeju-do is an island to the south of Korea. It's part of Korea. It's super famous, super beautiful, and I never once made the trip down there. While I was in Korea, I was like, I'd rather just stay home. But now that I'm in the US, I'm like, why did I not go to Jeju-do at least one time? So yeah, that's one of the regrets that I have. thing is kind of similar to the last one. I really wish I had taken the chance to travel to Japan while I was in Korea. Of course, COVID came to Korea and Japan kind of in the middle of my trip there. And actually me and my friend, the American who I mentioned was teaching Korean in the same neighborhood as me, we had talked about possibly going to Japan in the summer of 2020, which you can imagine that didn't end up happening. But I really wish I had taken the chance earlier in my stay in Korea to just, you know, hop on the short plane ride over to Japan and had the chance to experience that country as well as Korea. While I was there, I was always a little nervous about this because I don't really speak that much Japanese, and I don't know, at least with Korean, like you can like sound out all the words on signs that you don't know, but in Japan, since it's characters and based in kanji and stuff, even though I have some background in Chinese characters and all that stuff, I was just, something about, you know, traveling there alone made me really nervous. And since the opportunity to go with my friends didn't work out, I just never ended up going. But I wish I had pushed maybe a little earlier to take up my friend's offer to go visit Japan. And then finally, this is kind of the opposite of the last two, but I really wish I had gotten more involved locally in Daegu. Even though I was there, like living and working for a year, like I said multiple times already, as the introvert that I am, unless one of my friends was specifically like, hey, we should do this thing, or hey, we should meet up here, I didn't really make much of an effort to go out and explore things. I also don't really like shopping very much, so I didn't even make the effort to go downtown and go shopping while I was there, except for like once or twice in the entire year that I was there. Like one thing I really regret not doing is looking more into tennis opportunities while I was in Korea. If I had made more of an effort to try and find a place to play tennis, then that would help me, number one, speak Korean to those people who are playing tennis, and number two, maybe get to know some of those people and become friends with those tennis players. So that would help me with like several of my other goals anyways. Or even beyond tennis, getting involved in other activities, or even just going for walks more often and exploring the neighborhood outside my house. I didn't even do that very often. So yeah, I really wish that while I was in Daegu, I had kind of gotten to know it a little bit better instead of just constantly going back and forth from my house to my work. But yeah, those are the 5 regrets. I don't know why I held up 10 fingers. Those are the 5 regrets that I have from my time living in Korea. Like I said, I'm not sure I'm ever gonna live in Korea again, but if I do end up living in Korea at some point in the future, these are kind of things that I want to be more mindful about from the get-go. Get more involved in my community, make more plans to actually go outside the neighborhood that I live in, hopefully get across to Japan as well, and you know, while doing those things, also try to meet more people, make more friends, and therefore speak more Korean in my daily life. All that being said, I did really enjoy my year there, so don't get me wrong, don't think that I feel like it was a waste of a year or I didn't enjoy my time there. I did enjoy my time there, and it was a really great year of my life. It's just, obviously it wasn't perfect, nobody's life ever is, and these are some things that, in hindsight, I really wish I would have done more of. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say for today, so until next time, annyeong.